Hey everybody, how's it going? Today we're going to be going over and showing you how to install the Curt PowerRide fifth wheel trailer hitch. So this is what our PowerRide fifth wheel hitch looks like. As you can see here, all of our components have that dark gray finish, which is actually a powder coated finish. Therefore, it's going to be very durable. Now, when you combine this with the lighter gray accents and the orange accents, overall, I think it just makes for a nice aesthetically pleasing fifth wheel hitch. So the PowerRide has a 30,000 pound gross trailer weight rating. So hence the name, this is a very heavy duty fifth wheel hitch. Now, as we progress in technology, trucks can tow more and more. They're getting more and more heavy duty. Therefore, we need a hitch that's going to keep up with the ever evolving trucks on the market. And the PowerRide here is going to be the one for your needs when you have those really heavy trailers, because 30,000 pounds is a lot of weight. So we really want a nice and secure fifth wheel hitch while we're towing them. So perhaps one of the most notable features of this fifth wheel hitch is the dual interlocking jaw design. Now, Curt's really come a long way with their locking system here. This one in particular, I think, is one of the best ones they've created yet. So these interlocking jaws here, they do a couple different things. The interlocking mechanism ensures that we have 360 degrees of contact with the kingpin at all times. Now, furthermore, these jaws are very thick. If we measure them, they're about 1 1/4 inches thick. Therefore, we're going to have a very durable and secure connection, and that 360 degrees of contact there is going to ensure our trailer is nice and stable. We get as much contact as possible. That's really going to cut down on the rough ride. A lot of the times, if there's a lot of slop or play between the kingpin and the jaws on the trailer, it's going to cause the trailer to chuck and jar around. But with that 360 degrees of contact there, it's going to keep everything nice, tight, and secure for a smooth ride. So if you're new to fifth wheel towing, you're certainly going to like this next feature. Or even if you've been towing for years, I'm sure you guys are going to appreciate this. And that's what Curt does with their 3 color-coded indicator system. So this is a really nice feature just to give you added peace of mind that you're successfully hooked up to the fifth wheel hitch here and you're ready to take off down the road. As we can see here, we have our green paint marker, and if we look at the guide here, this means that we're ready to tow. Therefore, this would indicate that we have the kingpin secured inside the jaws and the handle is locked, so we're ready to take off down the road. Now, when we're ready to couple our trailer here, all we need to do is open the handle, and then if we pull the jaws open, we should see the indicator system switch to yellow. And if we look at the chart here, this will let us know that we're actually ready to couple our trailer to the fifth wheel hitch. So we've got our kingpin latched into the jaws here. Now, the handle automatically locks in most cases, but if it doesn't and the jaws are closed, it will alert you to that, and that's when we're going to see the red paint marking. That lets us know that although our kingpin is coupled and secured inside the jaws, our handle here is still in the unlocked position and it's not safe to tow. If the fifth wheel hitch didn't already kick that to the locked position, you'll need to do so manually. And once that's done, you'll just simply resecure the pin. So another feature here about this hitch that I really like, it's in regards to one of the #1 complaints we get about fifth wheel hitches. Unfortunately, there's not a lot you can do about that. And this complaint is that they're heavy. In order to support a heavy trailer here, there needs to be a heavy duty hitch. And what do we know about heavy duty? That's going to increase the weight, because we need to add a lot of steel and metal to the hitch here in order to allow it to support those heavier trailers, such as the one here rated for 30,000 pounds. And the adverse effect of that is obviously it's going to make the hitch a lot heavier. Therefore, it's going to be much harder to get in and out of your truck bed. Now, I'm sure the last thing you guys want to do is when you get home for your trip, pull into the driveway, get the trailer uncoupled. You really don't want to spend all that time and energy getting the fifth wheel hitch out of the truck bed. Well, due to the design of this hitch here, this is going to make that much easier. And the reason being is that we have an easy to remove head. It's actually only 1 pin. So we can see this large handle here at the front of the center section. We can use this to remove the head section by easily removing the clip from the back, pulling that pin out, rotating the handle to remove that, and now we can come over here, just lift up on both sides of the hitch head, and remove it from the center section. So although I wouldn't call the center section with our 2 legs attached lightweight by any means, but it is going to be a lot easier to get out of the truck bed without that heavy head on there. And something else Curt's done that I've recently noticed that I really like is that they actually give you some grab handles that are really going to be a lot easier on your hands when you're lifting this out of the truck bed. Those are located on either side. It's a nice soft padded handle here so we don't cut up our hands when we're lifting it in and out. So if we take a closer look at the skid plate on the PowerRide here, I'm sure you're going to notice something that's a little bit different than some of the other fifth wheel hitch options on the market. Now normally the skid plate is usually all steel or it has this large plastic cover on there. But with the PowerRide, you can see we have two integrated skid shield plates that are built right into the head. So we're still maintaining the rigidity of the steel surrounding it, but due to the two little inserts here with these plates, these are going to eliminate the need for any grease. We don't have to worry about slopping any messy grease onto the kingpin surface on either side, the trailer or the fifth wheel hitch. And it's also going to take the place of a lube plate. This is actually a 2-in-1 system that's built into the hitch head. It's going to help extend the life of the hitch head as well as cut down on the need for messy grease, prolonging the life of our hitch and the trailer skid plate. So touching more on the maintenance and longevity aspects of the PowerRide, you're going to notice we have a couple built-in grease zerks here for easy maintenance. They're also going to cut down on the noise that we hear on a lot of fifth wheel hitches over time. As we continue to use them, those jaws can get quite squeaky, and there really isn't a great way to lubricate them. But Curt here has already thought of this. They have a couple built-in zerk fittings here to get rid of that noise and make sure our hitch is in tip-top condition. We have one on the side here, and then we have one over here directly on either side of the jaw. And then as with most fifth wheel hitches, they are adjustable, meaning we can adjust the height of the hitch head, and that's going to be the case for the PowerRide here. This one actually has a little bit greater adjustment than most other options. It has 5 inches total. We can adjust the height from 13 to 17 inches above the bed rails. Now the reason this is important is it's going to allow us to get our trailer level so we can tow level. So for those of you that like to leave the fifth wheel hitch in the truck bed permanently, that's perfectly fine. However, if you leave the truck unattended, you may want to consider a security pin, which is what we have here. Curt actually offers this. This is simply a locking pin that replaces one of the 4 pins that we have that secure the hitch to the base rails. We actually only need one. You don't have to worry about buying 4 of these. One of these will sufficiently secure the hitch to the rails, and you don't have to worry about someone taking off with your expensive hitch. So to start off your installation today, we need to get something to prop the fifth wheel hitch up on while we assemble it, and then we can drop it into our rails. So you can really use anything you have nearby that's sturdy enough and offers enough height. For our particular application, we're going to be using a 6x6 that we've had cut up just laying around the shop. This is going to work perfect. But now that we have our prop into position, we can move on over to our fifth wheel center unit, and we can remove the head. That way it's going to make it a little bit easier to set the base up on our prop. So in order to remove the head from the center section, this is very easy. On the back here, we have a clip with a pin that we'll need to pull out. And then from the front here, we have a large handle that we can grab. We're just going to pull that straight out, and sometimes it even helps to turn that a little bit. Now, we're just going to simply pick up on the head. We can set that aside, and here's the center section that we need for the next step of our installation. We're simply going to take this, we're going to set it on our prop, which should be located in between your 2 fifth wheel rails. So now that we have our center section propped up here, we're going to go ahead and gather some of our hardware. We're going to be using the M14 bolts that come in your kit, and on the bolt head side, we're going to be placing on a split lock washer. We'll need 2 of these assemblies per side. And then we're going to need our M14 nylock nuts along with our M14 flat washers. But now we're ready to take one of the leg assemblies here and attach it to the center section. But before we do that, we really need to measure what height we want our fifth wheel hitch at. As you can see here, there's going to be several slots on the side of the center section here that we're going to line up with these slots here in our legs. So you can see there's quite a few different adjustments we can make. So before we actually attach the legs to the center section here, it's a good idea to go ahead and measure your setup. That way you can get the correct hitch height to tow your trailer level. So if you're not sure how to correctly measure to choose the right hitch head height, it's pretty easy. For starters, we're going to park our trailer on a level ground and level the trailer using our landing gear legs. Then we're going to measure the distance from the ground to the bottom of the skid plate on the pin box. Then we can come over to our truck here and measure the distance from the ground to the top of the bed. And then the distance between those two, the difference rather, between the trailer and the ground to the bed measurement is going to be the hitch head height setting we need to select with our fifth wheel hitch. So now that we have the correct height setting picked out, we're going to be using the second one down here. You're going to have these little pegs here that are going to line up with the inside slots here on our center section. And now we'll hold it there. We'll take one of our bolts and we'll stick it through the outside hole here to hold it in place. Now it should rest there. We still want to support it though, because we're going to come back on the inside here, place one of your flat washers over the bolt, and then thread on one of your lock nuts. And again, we have that same thing on the other side here. So now that we have the leg loosely installed on the center section here with our hardware inserted, we're going to take a 7/8 inch open-ended wrench and a 13/16 inch socket. We're going to go ahead and tighten and torque it down to the specifications in your instructions. So we've got one of our legs loosely installed. We're just going to repeat that same process on the other side. Then we'll be ready to actually drop our hitch into position into the rails, and that's when we'll torque it. So now that we have our legs sort of mocked up on the center section, what we can do is we can raise our hitch up. We can go ahead and remove our little center section here, or the little prop we were using. And now we're ready to set it into position in the rails. We'll take our pins with the curved end coming from the inside, and we'll just simply line them up at the front and insert our clip. We're going to do this for each of the 4 sides. And now we'll come back with our torque wrench here so we can torque everything down to the specifications in your instructions. So now that we have everything torqued down, we can take our hitch head here and set it into position. And we'll simply re-secure it the same way we removed it, with our handle in the front and then our clip in the back. Next, we're ready to install our handle. So what we need to do is we need to remove this clip from the head here that holds our handle into position. Take that out. We can just let this hang. Next, we're going to take our handle here. We're just going to simply slide that over the shaft just like so. Next, we're going to take our spring here. Now it's kind of hard to see, but on the bottom side of that metal handle there, the shaft rather, there's going to be an oblong hole that we can insert the spring into. So we're just going to place it under there like so. We're going to simply press it in there, and then we're actually going to compress it with our finger there so we can insert a bolt through the top. And then we're going to take one of our Allen head screws here with a split lock washer on there, and we're going to feed it down through that hole once we have the spring compressed. Just like that. Next, we're going to take this metal plate here. So you're going to see we have 2 threaded holes in that plate, and one of these is an open hole. That open hole is going to line up with the hole for our pin here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to come underneath here. I'm going to line up this threaded hole with the bolt that we installed earlier. Then I'm going to take a 5mm Allen key. I'm just going to start tightening that bolt there into the threaded plate below. I'm going to take our other Allen bolt here with a split lock washer. We're going to be installing it through that hole there. Now we'll come back with our 5mm Allen key and we'll tighten everything down. Now in order to tighten this one down, we can actually pull back on this handle here to compress that spring to allow us to tighten it without damaging the spring. Just like that. And once we get those 2 bolts torqued down, we'll take our pin here, we'll reinsert that through the open hole and secure it with the clip on the underside. And with our handle installed, that's going to do it today for our look and installation of the Curt PowerRide 5th wheel hitch.